noticed now that there are 17 submissions for assignment 1, so that's good. Hopefully you've started on your assignment 2. Today's session is more of just a Q&A. I don't intend to have a very long session. Just want to hear your challenges with applying Spark. So maybe you can start asking questions, any of the concepts that are not clear. Do you have challenges with writing the Spark program or visualizing what's happening? Yeah. Just give me a bit of feedback. Yeah. So is it a busy week? Nobody has tried Spark yet? You have tests, I guess.
Yes, a lot test and assignment.
Okay. Yeah, that's. I think you're all familiar with that challenges lah. That's the problem of trying to cram too many assignments in the last few weeks lah. That's why I'm a bit worried about having assignment 1 drag on so long lah. But it's okay. We're at what we are already. So in that case, then maybe I'll just go over briefly the material and let you off early lah. Give you more time to finish your assignments and can let me know if you have challenges lah. Okay, today just wanted to review the concept of key and value pairs. Key and value pairs for Apache Spark. Previously in the last 2 sessions, I've introduced Spark to you with example code where we were looking at you have these transform operations, which is allowing you to generate new RDDs. And RDDs are this subset of data, this basic splitting of data that allows you to send small chunks to different processors, and it's reside in memory so that you can actually have fast execution speed. And we also look at the what we call actions lah, which are Spark's terminology for when you've done some processing on the data elements individually, you try to combine them, right? So we looked at Spark last week. It was actually 3 main steps. Number 1, you have to really kind of adapt or modify the data set so that you transform it into an RDD that makes it easy for you to do your processing. Second, you have to define a map task. That is a task that is similar, that is performed on every little small group of data, every subset of the RDD. And third, you have to define a reduced step. That is, you're actually combining the intermediate results from each RDD into one final results lah. Today, not so much to add except to want to highlight this concept of key value pairs lah. So RDD, you can actually define that as just blocks of data lah. So last week we talked about in detail that for a text file, is normally broken up into sentences. So the carriage return character is what's splitting up the data into chunks where the Spark knows how to just group this together and send it to the processors. And we also saw the split operation, which allows us to transform that sentence into an array, right? So your data now becomes an array of words rather than just a long string of words, right? So a sentence is a long string of words. You can break it up into an array. The nice thing about array is you can index them individually, directly, but the array can also be further broken up into a new RDD where it's every column in that array becomes a separate RDD. So these are the basic ways of grouping data together. And sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's a little bit challenging because probably if you do it this way, you kind of have to develop an RDD for every single computation you want. This is where the key value pair idea comes in a bit more usefully. So you can think about key as some kind of reference, some kind of indicator, or I usually think about key as the dimension where I want some result. It's not the result itself, but it's how I'm referencing the result. And then the value is actually the data which you're going to use to compute the result. Okay, so the key is some kind of reference, value is some kind of result. So you can frame each basic element not just as a sentence, not just as an array, not just as just individual numbers or groups of numbers. You can actually frame it as a key value pair, and then you can do the reduce operation by key. This is the most powerful feature of key value pair computation. So what do we mean by key and do the operation, reduce operation by key? So I give you one example. We will look at the vaccine file that we've been looking at all this while. Okay, let me just open that right now really quickly. Let's go for vaccine file and share my screen. Okay, just give me a second. Let me share my screen. Okay, so here we see is the same vaccine booster file that we've seen over and over again. You have date, you have state, you have district, you have vaccine combo type, right? So let's say I want some kind of result based on dates, okay? That means my reference is date. So maybe I want to know which state has the most number of vaccines by date. So I want to actually reference this comparison by date. I will need to get one result per date, right? So the natural way to think about this is I can frame my key value pair as the key is the date. Then maybe the key is the date. Then I can store as my value both the state and the number of vaccines or the highest number of vaccines or the total number of vaccines in that date. So then what I can do is I can do my reduce operation by date. That means when I do a reduce operation by key value pair, I won't get one value. I will get one value per date, one value per key. So the key value operation allows you to do reduce operations and return you one result per key. That's why it's powerful, right? So you can actually do this aggregation, but it's by per key. It's not just giving you one result for the total data set. So instead of date, if I wanted to see what is the total number of vaccinations by state or by district, then my key would actually be the state or the district, and then the actual vaccine number will be different. So I could create RDDs very simply, like I just put the date, and then I just put I just put the state, then I just put AAC, then the state AAH, then the state the value of AAP, then the state, then I'm just looking at all the possible. My RDD would just be key value, which is the state, plus every possible vaccine combo. What is the amount? But I don't really have to do the vaccine combo. I can just look at the state, add them all up together, and then I can get the total number of vaccines by state. So the map operation would be, the transformation of the RDD would be, I would generate for each line like that, I will generate key value pair. So I'll generate Johor 0, Johor 0, Johor 0, Johor 0. So there are, I think we looked at it, I think something like 20, so there are 27 rows, columns here, 1, 2, 3. So I have 24 different combos. So from each row, I will have 24 different key value pairs of Johor and the value of the vaccine, right? So then I would have all this for Johor, all this for Kedah. Each number will be by a different date, but that's okay because my key is not the date. I just want to get the comparison by state. Okay. So if I want to do for date, then I will actually have to do the key by date and then do it this way. So if you think about it, the key value pair is sort of a little bit more advanced than the filtering operation, the transform filtering operation, where we remove certain elements. So for the filtering one, because we don't have this option to reduce by key, we just reducing everything together. The way we do is we just throw out all the data that is not relevant, right, to that particular key. But if you use the key value pair type of map reduce approach, you can basically make the reduction, the combined operation by key. The reduction operation will give you one result per key. Okay, is there any question about this concept? Do you understand it? Do you need a little bit more explanation?
Understand.
Understand now. Okay. If understand, then maybe I'll just take another 5 minutes to ask if you have any questions lah. Because if you don't, then maybe I'll just let you go lah. Because not much point to have a class if people are very busy and would prefer to just do other things. Yeah. And there's not much to cover anymore already because besides the key value pair, it's all just working on the Spark already. Yeah. So just wait for a few more minutes if you have any questions on any of the material we've covered. Okay, Roy, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear some background buzz. Your voice is very soft. If you could just go closer to the mic, that would be helpful.
Now can you hear me, sir?
Yes, very clear now. Thank you.
Alright, so as I was doing the assignment, I was using for the PY Spark. So what's the difference between Spark and PY Spark, sir? Because as I'm doing, I'm doing that PY Spark is like more understandable, but it's a bit different method than Spark.
Okay, that's a great question. What you're asking is PySpark. PySpark is basically using Python language to give Spark commands, right? So if you are more comfortable with PySpark and it works, go ahead, use PySpark. Roy, they are exactly the same thing, right? It's just that it's like saying that it's using a slightly different language. So as I mentioned from the last week, Spark, actually there are a few languages you can write Spark code. I prefer Scala, which is this form, because it just works natively in Zeppelin. I've not had many problems with Scala. You can also write Java version of Spark. It will also work, or you can write the Python version of Spark, which is PySpark. All three are equivalent. It's just the commands maybe, or the format of the commands maybe is a little bit different, but the key steps, you are transforming the RDD, you are giving map tasks, that is each subset of data, each subset of the RDD has the same computational task. You still need to do that. You need to define that. And the third is the reduce operation. You still need to reduce. But you will see the syntax is different, right? Because this one looks more like Python and C++, because it's really Python. You're using the Python language. It's like saying that if you go to your mama store and you want to order your mee goreng or your nasi goreng, you can place the order in Malay, you can place the order in English, or you can place the order in Tamil or something like that, right? It's three different languages. You are still doing the same thing, which you're placing the order for your mee goreng and your teh tarik, two things, right? But it's still a different language. So if you compare the words of the language, yeah, the words will be different, the format will be different, but you're doing the same thing, you're giving the same instruction. So PySpark, Scala, Java, three different languages. You're still giving the same set of instruction, but it's got its own language dependent rules. Okay, Roy, does that help?
Yes, sir. Yes. No,
Right. So you have to be on the watch out, Roy. You are still loading the file into an RDD. You're still defining RDDs, and then you're still defining the map operation, which is the operation on each subset of the RDD in CPU in memory. And then you're still doing the reduce operation, which is trying to combine all the intermediate results from map into one result, or as we've discussed this morning briefly, one result per key if you're using key value pairs. Okay, but there are many variants of these. This textbook actually will give you also the PySpark equivalent commands. Like example here, this shows you how to write it in PySpark. This shows you how to write it in Scala. This shows you how to write in Java. All three of these will run in Zeppelin. It's just you have to call the correct interpreter. So Scala, you just need to call Spark interpreter. For Python, you need to call PySpark interpreter. It's just that for the purpose of this class, I'm not going to guarantee I can support you on PySpark because I haven't tried it extensively. The last time I tried PySpark, it didn't work. Right? There were a lot of problems. But if you try it now, this is already version 0.10.0. I tried at version 0.8. So if you try it now and if it's working, go ahead, use PySpark. It's okay, it's equivalent. I will accept it. There will be no penalty and all that. All right, right? It's just that you have to understand you're doing it in Python. And in fact, if you can do it in PySpark, it's a little bit more natural because Python is easier to link to JavaScript and front end files like JS, Node.js, and React.js and all that lah. Yeah. Okay, Roy. Are you having any difficulties with PySpark? You can follow it. You can actually write the code so far.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Then go ahead, full confidence, write it in PySpark. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, great. More questions?
Sir. Go ahead, you can go ahead.
Roy, you go first.
Alright, sorry. Sir, last question. For the
No
question,
problem. You can ask more questions. Never mind. This
sir,
is
for question 3 assignment, identify the date and district where not vaccination were given at all. So I able to do that, but the reading of data frame is quite a lot. So how do we need to implement in the word? Because we need to copy paste the output, right?
Okay, hold on, Roy. I'm trying to wrap my head around your question. It's a bit slow this morning for me. Getting old is like that. Okay, so your question is what is your question against Roy? You're asking me about assignment 2.
Yeah, because assignment 2, question 3, the
Assignment
output
2, question 3.
the output is very long because every district identify the date and district where not vaccination were given at all. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of output. How do we need to implement? Because I'm bringing the data frame. So how do we need? How do we put in the word?
Great. Good. Okay, good. So you've gotten to the point you can get the dates and the districts where no vaccinations were given, or you can get that dates and districts, right? Okay, so the way I intend you to actually present this is to give you this idea that sometimes you cannot print the results lah. So what you can do is you can give me the code, right? Then you just show me the first few rows, the first 10 rows of the code, something like that, and then you can tell me, convince me lah. You tell me, because I asked you the dates and the districts where no vaccinations were given at all. So pretty much I'm asking you the dates lah. Basically, you're just filtering all the dates, and then you just give the name of districts where everything is 0 lah. Okay, so you so here basically you just give me sort of like the first few entries. You give me the code, and you briefly lah. It doesn't have to be so perfect. You briefly tell me how you are sure that this computation is correct lah. Right? I don't need you to dump the whole code, because again, there's no point for you to print pages and pages of this result lah. It's more of like you just give me the first 10 lines or something like that. Then you just give me your code and you justify from your code why this will work. Okay, can or not, Roy?
Can, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. Great. Good.
Sir,
Number 3. Great. You think? Yes.
for this question 3, actually the dates and district, is it come in a pair or what?
Great question. It is. You're asking me whether I want it as a pair or want it as identify the dates and identify the districts lah.
Yes.
You can give me all 3 results, you think? Means you give me only the dates where there are totally no vaccinations the whole country. You give me if there are any districts where there are no vaccinations at all, and then you give me date district pairs lah, where there are no vaccinations, right? So this is a good example of when you're unsure of a data analytics requirement, go and clarify with the client. So this is a good example of that. And I'm giving you a sort of a best practice. If it's not too difficult to do, you just compute all possibilities. And then when the client asks, you just give whatever the client wants. Okay? Can, you think? Does that make sense?
So just to confirm, right? So if the dates and the district comes in a pair, right? So we cannot distinct the dates, right? Because different dates, same dates with different district.
Right. Yes, that's right. So you, because if you think about it, the results will be a bit different, right? If I'm just asking you on the dates where there are no vaccination, it means that all the districts in that particular date must have no vaccination. Even if one only will have vaccination, then there is a vaccination on that date lah. Okay. If I ask you the districts where no vaccination is given, that means all the districts, you have to look at them throughout the whole year or whatever that duration of data I got. If there's any district where there is totally no vaccinations at all, then you give me the name of the districts lah. So now you start asking, does this make sense and all that, which is good. That's meant to stimulate that. But if I ask you for dates and districts, I mean, I just want to know for this district, on this date, was there any vaccination given or not? So the results, 3 different results are all different, right? You think, can you see that? They're all different.
Yes, yes.
Right. Yeah. So just be clear about that. Yeah. But you're right. If dates and districts then cannot separate because there'll be certain dates when district A maybe don't have vaccination because maybe nobody came and things like that. But other dates they will have, right? But if they will have means they won't actually appear in the answer where I'm just asking you which district totally no vaccination. Okay. Okay, great. More questions.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
For question 4, the question asks to identify district in Perak where vaccination for PPE combo took the longest duration. Does this mean that we have to include days that PPP combo is also 0, or just take the days that PPP combo are not 0?
I like that you're thinking about this. Great. Okay. So following my best practice, when you're not sure, you did the first step, you ask client. So I'm your client, you ask me. Number 2, second step is just prepare both for the sake of it right? Just that you get ready. Now, then number 3, now we try to go and see which one sort of makes sense longest duration. The easy answer, of course, will be I will just ask you to give me including the 0 days right? That's the easy answer Why? Because you can just take the earliest date, you find the earliest date, the latest date, and then you just take the difference, right? So that one is easy to generate. The more difficult one is actually how many days it took to give PPP combo which is basically you have to create an RDD where you just retain the non-zero PPPs and then you just count the number of non-zero PPPs So actually,
yes, sir, I did just that. I
did just that
one.
Okay, so but when you did just that, you can also look at the earliest date and the latest date, right?
Yeah, should
Right.
be
So you can answer
also.
both You can answer both So I'm wiggling my way out of this by saying, give me the answer for both because you're able to do the second one, which is the more intensive one. You have to do sorting and counting. Okay, great. So I'm very happy to hear that. It means that you all are sort of mastering Spark already. You can start. You're reaching question 4, question 5. That's very good already. Good. Right. So even though I give you these submission deadlines here, you can actually submit the assignment earlier, and then you're done for lab 2. Okay. You just, if you feel like you just want to finish it up and submit earlier, go ahead. You don't have to submit exactly on the deadline. Yeah. And if you submit and then you want to change your answer before the deadline, okay you can resubmit And if you're not able to resubmit, just send me a message. I will open it up for you to resubmit Okay, I won't penalize all that. It's great. I just want to encourage you to submit earlier. Great. Any more questions? More questions, that'll be good.
Sir, one more question. Just now you were talking about key value pairs. But you didn't say what function we use to convert lines into key value pair. Do we use map?
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, since that question has come up, let's open up my Docker. Yes, Docker. So implicitly last week in the example code that I hope I put the example code here. Yeah, in the example code, in the example script, actually I've had it there already but let me just run through it again just to be very clear It's very simple. It's very, very, very simple. Okay, so let's go for Spark example. You can see my screen, right? Okay, so the key value pair is nothing else but you have what's my key value pairs? Basically, you map your line. Okay, you map your line here. You just put a double bracket. The first element A is your key. Second element C is your value. That's it. That's it. Okay. But here, what I'm doing in this particular line is I filter the line for only those lines that contain the word para, right? So now I have, at this point, I have all the sentences that are in para, right? All the lines that are in para. Then I'm doing this line, this map here, okay? This map operation is now going to get the line and combine it into a key value pair, right? Each line is going to combine to a key value pair. That's this sentence in between. Okay, so you see, this is just a syntax line. You have a bracket with a comma in between, right? So the key is on the left, the value is on the right. Okay, so what I'm doing it is I'm first taking that particular line, I'm splitting it by commas, and then I'm taking the second element too. Okay, that's my key. So my key is now I'm using 0, 1, 2. I'm using district as the key. And then here I'm taking my line, I'm splitting it again by commas, and then I'm taking element 20. Element 20, so this is element 26. 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20. So I'm taking PPS, the value of PPS as my value. So this particular code is giving the key as the district and the value of PPS as the value. Okay, is that clear? Does that help?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay,
So
great.
when we bracket, we are putting each element in a tuple, is it?
That's right. Exactly. You're using the great terminology. It's a tuple, right? It's a tuple.
Yeah.
Here and here. And please be aware, you can have nested tuples. Right? That means you can have a key, and the value is actually at a key value pair. Right? Yeah. This is interesting. You can have a key with a value key value pair. So if I'm actually doing search by date and district, I will actually use nested tuples like that. So maybe I will do the district here first, Johor. I put the district here as a key, and then I put the date here, right? So then you have to ensure you must index the key value pair correctly. Okay, so you can have nested key value pairs. That's what I wanted to really share. So keep in mind, this is array. This is key value. This is tuples. Tuples are key values. Okay, great. Okay, so happy to hear you've gone quite deep. Good. More questions? So as usual, the key value pair functions are here. So I think it sounds like some of you are starting to really enjoy this. You're starting to see it already. So now you actually see it's not that difficult lah. Once you get the hang of it, it's not that difficult. You can actually group by key, reduce by key. Reduce by key is the one that you are actually just doing the comparison lah. Either you do plus or you do max or something like that lah. Here you can group values with the same key, that kind of thing. That they go into a same. This looks like an array actually. Yeah. You get an array of the values with the same key.
Actually, sir, I think using Scala, when we use Scala, I think Spark and Scala share a lot of functions because even in Scala language, it has map, it has flat map, and so on. So we can sort of learn both at the same time.
Yes, Farhan, that is a very astute observation. The reason Scala was selected as a base implementation, it was actually the first implementation because it already had a lot of these concepts of MapReduce. And if you dig in a little bit deeper, Scala is an example of what you call functional programming, if I'm not mistaken. Lisp is an example of that. So it's a different programming model and things like that. So Scala is actually a very natural way to do this. Python is a little bit contrived because you have to do kind of funny list operations and all that. But either is fine. It's just a language. Right? As long as you understand you are doing this MapReduce operation, you're golden. Okay. And again, I'm getting you to do this. In this assignment, what I'm able to cover with your assignment is just text processing and number processing, but I'm not able to do database processing. That means logical operations. You can also do logical operations like you're doing join. That means you're kind of merging values and all that as part of database. So what I'm actually telling you, if you actually want to write your own database software, you can do it on top of Spark. Right? Because Spark has a lot of for example, here you're filtering on value. You can do funny, very powerful things like this, right? So Spark gives you a lot of it, right? You can actually, kind of group like these by key value. You can actually group how frequent, and then you can, you know, a lot of powerful ways you can conceptualize manipulating the data lah. And I think once you get into these more um, uh, complex ways of managing data, you quickly see like it's very difficult to do this on a conventional control flow programs like C, C++, even basic Python also is a bit difficult. Even object-oriented also doesn't give you this amount of power lah. But keep in mind, Spark is for those applications where you are analyzing large, huge databases, terabyte, gigabytes, with complex data format lah. And the nice thing about Spark is the data format doesn't even have to be kind of uniform. You don't actually even need to have a structured database. You can actually use unstructured databases like JSON-based, XML-based unstructured databases. So unstructured databases is simply a database where every entry may not have the same number of columns and rows. Right? Every entry is a row, it may not have the same number of columns, right? The schema of each entry is different, right? So Spark can also handle and process unstructured databases very well, beyond SQL, beyond all of these. Okay. Okay, more questions, please.
Sir.
Yeah.
Can you show how to use the for each function?
For each. Oh, okay. The for each function. Okay, let me check. Can you give me a reference to
I think connect the for each connect together. Page 60.
60, yeah. Yeah, because I'm not familiar with this, but maybe if you just give me a few minutes, I should be able to figure it out lah. 60, you have, okay, this is page 60.
No, on the PDF.
On the PDF. This is
42 in the page, in the textbook.
Oh, 42 in the page on the textbook. Okay.
This one's 60, yeah.
Okay, you're asking for this lah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let me do this. Okay. Right. So it goes back to functions lah. All right. Let me do this. Let me create an RDD, then I can show you the example lah. All right. So just give me a minute or two while I get my bearings right now. Let me create an RDD, then I can show you how to use that. Okay, so get this RDD to be, this is, contain Kinta. So maybe what I want to do is I want to create a key value pair here. Okay, so let me just do a split first. This is syntax. Okay, so just give me a moment. Let me create my RDD first, and then I will show you an example of how to do it. Okay, this is an array. Truncation. Split. I think I will do another map. Because line to
Oh, so if we want to get a sub-array,
Ah.
I use a line.slice function and bracket 2,3.
Okay, I see. Line dot slice
Slice.
2,3. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks
yeah.
very
Right?
much. That's what I need. Yes, that's right. That's what I need. Thank you. Wow, you guys are good already. Good, great. This is my array. So I will now do a key value pair line. This is 2, right? I'm creating a key value pair here where my key is actually the district, right? My key is the district. My array is basically all the values that are all the values of the vaccinations lah. So just to double check. Okay, 2 is with this one, so okay, it's correct. 3, and then I need to convert this to integer. Okay, cannot lah. So how do you convert each element? Oh, okay. Okay, this is my line slice. Okay, how do you convert an entire array into integers? Okay, never mind, we'll do this. Okay, let's start with this first. Okay. All right, let's do value, let's call my RDD. Okay. Okay, I've got my RDD here. Now let's do for each. Okay. So my RDD for each value. So now my RDD is a key value pair lah. If I do it's a function. So I need to look at the functional form. How do I write functions? Scalar function passing, okay. Search function. Search functions. Lines filter new contains error. Okay, this is the example for functions.
So you want to make a new function, is it?
Yes. I'm trying to make. Wow. Okay, that's good. Thanks
The
for your help.
syntax is def
You do define. Okay.
name, the name of our function,
Okay.
and bracket. Inside the bracket is the parameters.
Okay. Let's say I want to take an RDD.
The name of parameter first. For example, a and what double dots? What is that? And then the type of the parameter.
Okay. What is my
For
type
example,
here? If it's
integer, for example, or string. If integer, int, I capital.
okay,
Comma
let's try with
and
integer first.
yeah. Okay, and
great.
then the return type, return our return output type. Not after
Okay,
the comma.
output type.
After
this.
outside of the
Correct.
bracket.
Is it a colon?
And then return type.
Integer like that lah. Okay.
Equals to
Equals to.
the function, our function, the whole function, what we want to do. No, like are we going to return the same? For example, we want to multiply it by something. Where what we do here is.
Okay. equals I put the actual code
So,
here lah for the
yeah,
function.
the code.
Okay, so
yeah,
integer
yeah,
like that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, great. A is an integer. A is actually an array. How do I pass it? Let's do an integer first lah. If a greater than 0, a, else. Okay, let's try something simple like that lah. Okay, then let's not complicate ourselves so much here yet. Let's do this first. I just want to test the function first. So I won't do this one here. I'll just take line split 4, for instance. I get it right. No, probably got too many colons. Okay, right. So this is returning just one number each. So for each, okay, so I will pass in func name and my RDD. See if it works. Expected comma. Okay. Okay, my RDD is still in.
For this, go to int. Yeah.
It's not a member of integer. Okay.
Maybe because inside the maybe because of the dot first bracket that you put on the top line, on the line above this, on the code above this, there is
Okay.
dot first, so that returns the only one value.
Oh. Okay, that's right. You are right. That's possible. Doesn't look that way. RDD integer. Require integer. So what I'm thinking is actually we have to declare an RDD data type rather than an integer. RDD, there's something called RDD lah. Okay, let's try. Oh, wait, what do they call it? RDD, okay. Maybe we do RDD like that. Type mismatch. Required unit. So like this, right? RDD string. Okay. So I think we call this RDD integer also and see what happens. Not found. Type RDD. Ooh. RDD string RDD. Okay, never mind. We test the function first. We just test the function first as a form of debugging. So I have this function. Maybe I don't do the RDD yet. I just type in. Okay, so if I put. Okay, my function is working. For each RDD Apply the provided function to each element of the RDD. The result is nothing. Is the result nothing? Excuse input function in an RDD doesn't return a value. If we wanted a save the data frame results to Arduino. Okay, for each Spark session, create data frame. RDD, long accumulator.
So I think for each they just use for printing lines.
Yeah, I think you're right. For each, it's more of it's just a way for you to interact with other non-Spark thingies lah. Like you want to update memory, you want to save into drive and things like that lah. Long accumulator. For each. So you're just adding to a value. So it's you're not doing anything to the RDD. It's just allowing you to use for each to update a value lah. So let's say I can just have maybe a variable final count equals 0. My RDD for each so I can do something like f my so the RDD value is f lah. Let's see what happens here. It is not member of integer. Final class. Okay, I do. So I don't do my filtering. Oh, I need to filter data. Zero. Else. I'm not entirely sure lah. I can spend a bit more time debugging this, but I think for each is not part of the MapReduce framework. I think it's as one we mentioned. Do you want me to debug this a little bit more, or you're okay with the discussion as we've gone this far?
I think okay, Dila.
Okay, Dila. For each is actually not really it's more like a housekeeping function lah. If you actually want to do more things with the IDD, let's say like just now, I think was it that mentioned like for printing, Farhan, is it? You mentioned it was for printing. So let's say you wanted to print certain lines and all that, or you wanted to actually save it into a different variable and pass the variable to another Python function. So at the end of this, actually you see I've got this line here that I said zput, this one. So the reason you have zput is this allows you to actually transfer variables from your Scala. You can actually transfer them to R, right? So the way you do it is whatever variable final result here that you get, let's say it's an integer, string and all that, you can store it into a variable through this Z is this kind of like storage lah. The variable name is here, and then this is the value, right? So it's kind of like this idea of key value as well. And you can call this variable. So here actually I'm storing a string, a text string, which is the output from my Spark. In Scala, I'm storing Z, then I'm showing you how to retrieve that string name in Spark, right? You just use this same Z lah. So Z is sort of like this messenger register that allows you to transfer values from Scala, Spark, to R. So if you're using PySpark, maybe you can use the variables directly in Python. I've not tried, but you're supposed to be able to do that directly lah. Unless it's an RDD, then it's a little bit challenging lah. But you can use this Z here to actually transfer variables in between lah. So I believe maybe the for each function, if you actually wanted to transfer into a different form like an array or something like that, you can actually initialize like an array, and then you use the for each to actually store, instead of an RD, you can store the values into an array or something like that. So for each looks like it's more of like a housekeeping function to help you to work with other parts lah, to work with other types of code lah, not moving out the Spark system lah. All right. Okay, great. That was a good discussion, and thanks for all the comments and guidance, Farhan. I think it's very good. You've explored this quite well already. Wonderful. Okay, any more questions? I'm just going to take a look at the... You want me to extend the assignment to due date? Until when? I mean, I'm okay to extend dates. It's just what I'm trying to avoid is a situation where the final week of semester, you haven't done assignment 2, you haven't done assignment 3. Maybe it won't work for you, but usually the weaker students have this problem lah. Like even for assignment 1, we are way past the due date by more a week. I still don't have full submission. I only got 17 of you submitted. So I'm not quite sure how to help or how to encourage those who have not submitted assignment 1, because nobody is telling me your problems and all that. And if you tell me on the last day before semester ends, there's not much I can do to help you. So I'm starting to be in this position where I'm wondering if some of you will actually be failing this course. So because I can guarantee you, if you don't submit any of your assignments, you're going to fail this course, definitely. If you and the assignments are not that difficult lah. I mean, some of you have done quite well, and already you're able to share deep parts of the code. You want to assign? You want me to extend it to 2nd March? No problem. If it makes things a little bit easier for you, I'm okay. I'll extend it to 2nd March. Any other suggestion? 2nd March, okay. You want another date? I'm just trying to highlight. Try not to get beyond 14 March lah, because I want to leave 1 week free for you. The most I can do beyond this 14 March is I can extend it to 1 more week, and then it's the end of semester already, right? But I'm trying not to do that, because if I extend this now, then at the end of semester you ask me to extend some more, right? So you know, I know it's a delicate balance. You got a lot of work now. I try to help when I can, so I can change this date. So you want March, huh? Any other suggestion? No other suggestion. No other suggestion means 2nd March. Are you happy with 2nd March? So I'm going to call once, twice, thrice. Okay, Roy is okay. Azizu is okay. All right, so if second match is okay, then we keep it at second match. Honchi is okay. All right, great. So Farhan is also okay. Right, great. So second match, no problem. Try to finish it and get started on assignment 3. Assignment 3, you see, is quite similar to assignment 2. It's just assignment 3, I want you to use the key value pairs. I try to formulate the question more on key value pairs. Don't just give me the code. No? I'm also not looking for very, very long submission. I want to see the code, just maybe the output, plus you just give a short explanation how you breaking up this into the 3 steps, the transform, the RDD, the map task, the reduce task. You can just use some simple diagrams and all that. Fine, I don't need 30-40 page report. I just need you to tell me in the shortest possible way you're doing this, only for you to demonstrate your understanding, right? Because I have to keep all your assignment answers, for audit and all that. So I need to be able to justify your grade if I'm queried. So the way I'll do it is actually, I need to show that you can code, and I need to show you can demonstrate understanding, right? So if you can do both of this, you're going to ace this course. I think I'd be very happy if all of you get A's, right? But it's entirely possible, right? Because not so challenging once you can master these things. And it sounds like from today's discussion, quite a few of you are getting there towards mastering this already. So it's wonderful. Okay, any more questions? So if no more questions, I will let you go. If you've got questions, I'll just hang on until you've got no more questions. If you're very busy, it's fine as well. We can talk more next week. Next week onwards is same thing. It's just going to be Q&A session. And if you prefer to take the time to work on your assignment, that's okay with me as well. I'm just going to be hanging around to see if there are questions. So any more questions? Alternatively, you can just tell me no questions. Then if quite a number of you say no questions, then we end the session. Okay, yes, good. You think that's good. Ask in the WhatsApp group if you have any problems. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. Good. No questions from Farhan, no questions from Roy. Maybe a few others who maybe weren't. Okay, Fatin, good, thank you. Maybe another 2 more people can tell me no questions and we will end. Okay, I've got it. All right, so take care, everyone. Stay safe. See you all online next week. And again, if you really prefer to use the time for working on this, let me know. We don't really need to have a class. I'm just at this point now, just how to support you in your learning of Spark. That's all. I presume all your environment set up already. Okay, so take care, everyone. I'll see you next week. And if anything, just let me know on WhatsApp. Any challenge.